start the record. Let me introduce Anne. Oh. Sorry about a little hiccup. I want to make sure I'm recording to the right view. So we're delighted, very delighted to have Anne Golden, DTM, 3 times DTM from District 38 to give this workshop. And Anne said that she has done it. She has been there, done the Speechcraft coordinate job. She's going to share everything she learned and all the templates and tips in this 90 minutes workshop. So Anne, let's get started. What is the best way to boost our membership? What is involved in running a Speechcraft series? What's in it for you and your club? These questions and more will be answered in this overview. In the overview segment, you will learn what the Speechcraft program is, 11 steps to successful Speechcraft, and how you benefit from serving as a Speechcraft coordinator. And who better to provide these insights than a top-rated, passionate trainer on the topic? Our presenter today has quite an active working the Toastmasters program and is a 3-time distinguished Toastmaster. A natural leader, she has held numerous club office and district leadership roles and currently serves as club extension chair in District 38. In 2023, Anne launched the Speechcraft Coordinate Training Seminars, inspired by her experience conducting a successful Speechcraft program for a nonprofit organization. She is dedicated to helping others develop effective personal and leadership growth strategies. Let's give a big applause to welcome Anne Golden. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you. I am delighted to be here with everyone today, and good morning to everyone in District 101. And if there's other people here from other districts, welcome. We are delighted to have you. There we go. Wendy, could you download this handout for our attendees today? This is your workshop handout, and what's included in this handout are the actual 11 steps that I'm going to review today with you in running a successful Speechcraft program. And you can use that to take notes throughout today's presentation. I believe you will find that useful. Let's begin with explaining what Speechcraft is, really. It's a blended learning program for learners interested in building their communication and speaking skills. It is designed for non-Toastmasters to help them. It's a fast-track program, it's the way I look at it, for them to learn the basic speaking skills that are required for public speaking. And you must be 18 years of age and older, similar to being a Toastmaster. And when they become members, depending on the number of speeches that they complete, they can receive credit for their Speechcraft projects. That's basically the purpose of what Speechcraft is. But it also helps you and your clubs to grow membership because it garners interest and it re-energizes your members because they participate in the program as well. Who would attend? And this kind of addresses the question as who would you market for potential new members? Um, do you know anyone that's looking for a job interview? Answer yes in the chat if you do. Do you know a colleague that might be having to prepare for an important presentation in work? Please answer yes or no in the chat. Do you know someone who needs to make a toast at someone's wedding, or who may have to deliver a eulogy? When they're nervous about public speaking and about giving a 5-minute speech, this is an ideal session for them to get them up to speed on how to deliver public speech. Did we have anybody answer in the chat, Salazar or Session? No? Okay. Speechcraft helps you to build your membership. It is a club's #1 building tool, believe it or not. How successful are you with open houses? You could have 5 people and maybe 1 will join. Maybe nobody will join. But with Speechcraft, the numbers are much better and higher when you conduct a Speechcraft program. And that is Toastmasters' #1 membership building tool. And I say it has been Toastmaster best kept secret. That is until Cheryl Roush and I have hooked up to promote each other's sessions and do these Speechcraft training webinars. Today, what I'm going to review with you is I'm going to go over what it takes for the digital bundle, what you need to know to purchase the bundle, what are the benefits for you as a coordinator, what's involved in the planning and preparation for a Speechcraft program. I will provide resources and discuss the different resources. And then at the very end, there is a video, 25 minutes, that takes you behind the scenes of the Speechcraft portal. And that is still relevant with the changes that are going on. Toastmasters is not changing the content behind the scenes. It's just going to be more user-friendly. So the information that I'm going to show you is still going to be there. It just may be a little tad different on how you access it from the way I show you, but I don't think it's going to be that much difference. I think when the update is released, after today's session, you will be able to follow it much easier. What's going to happen after each of these, and I call them sections of my presentation, I'm going to stop sharing my slides and I'm going to take questions and answers at that point. There is a lot to cover here, and I find it easier to digest it in small pieces. So if you have questions as I'm going through my slides, put them in chat, and Salazar or Sushin will bring them to my attention when we pause for questions. And at that time, you can also raise your hand. Is that okay with everybody? Is that all right with everybody that we work that way? Terrific. So let's move the slide forward. The first thing I'm going to discuss is the digital bundle, what you need to know about that. Wow. Used to be anyone could buy Speechcraft prior to 2022. Not anymore. You must be a Toastmaster in good standing, and the club must be in good standing. And why does the club have to be in good standing? Because it is the club that has to sponsor the Speechcraft program. And when you purchase the bundle, your order number is your access code to the Speechcraft Gateway portal. So once you get that, you need to save that and put that in a safe spot, because that is how you will get access to behind the scenes. You will need to enter that number to open up the portal for yourself. How many coordinators do you need? Well, you need 1 coordinator for every 5 participants, and they're called Speechcrafters. And the reason for that is so that they can be You're their teacher, actually. You're their teacher, their mentor. If you have too many people to mentor, you can't do a good job. The maximum that Toastmasters recommend is 1 to 8. And Toastmasters doesn't give refunds. So when you purchase the bundle, it's for 5 people. If you only get 4 people, you won't get a refund for that one person, nor can you use that slot in a future program. It has to be used within that bundle purchase that you've done. I recommend to take a new member from your club and slot them into the program, and that will help propel them ahead in their Pathways program. What do you get in the bundle? Well, in the bundle, this is at the store site. It's item number 8600. As I said, it's $50. It is a minimum charge. You get marketing materials, and there are 2 very important videos. Mike Carr, the 2020 World Championship of Speaking, is an awesome video on tips of vocal variety. Now, why do you need to listen to that? Or why do you need to listen to powerful words? Well, these are your tips on how to present these materials to the participants in the program. The participants, I don't believe, get access to these videos. You do as the coordinator. It's important to listen to that. We're going to talk about the purchase procedures. Remember, I said it has to be club sponsored. It is highly, highly recommended that it is the club that makes the purchase of the bundle and not the individual member who wants to be the Speechcraft coordinator. However, if you do, you should submit to the club treasurer for reimbursement. The reason for that, we are a nonprofit organization, and we want to make sure the money transfer lines are very clear for the IRS, and that it's just an open-ended book. That's what I like to say. Therefore, it's better if the club treasurer purchases it, makes the purchase, and gets the access code, and provides that to the member who wants to be the Speechcraft coordinator. Now, who pays for that bundle? Does the club out the money? No. You know what? If you want stakes in the game, it's better if you pay for something, correct? Don't you agree with that? The Speechcrafters pay for their own participation in the Speechcraft. And we don't call it a fee, we don't call it a charge, we call it tuition. It's an educational program that we are providing. So it's tuition. And what's the cost of the tuition? And how can this benefit the club? Well, according to Protocol 8.2, you can use this as a fundraiser for your club. Well, what does that mean? Yeah, a fundraiser. The bundle's $50. You can charge the Speechcrafters a max of $120, which is a 1-year membership, Toastmasters, to your club. How you market that is that it covers fees, and you tell them whether it's a 6-month or a 1-year membership to the club. How you can do that is you can charge them $50 for the Speechcraft participation, plus the $80, which is the $60 for a membership and $20 for the path. That's $110. And you tell them that the tuition cost includes a 6-month membership fee. Do we have to take that? Yes, because it's part of the learning program. And at the end of 6 months, they can leave if they want, but you're including the 6-month membership fee. 6 months educational costs. That's how you market that. This I am providing as a handout as well, and it's called the Speechcraft Participant Fee Calculation. And what this does, this will help you to very simply figure out what to charge the participants. And this was developed by, I believe it's a gentleman. I don't know foreign names, so excuse me if I'm incorrect, from District 129 Club Extension Chair last year. And he developed this, and it's a very simple formula that can help you figure out the cost. And I think you will find that extremely useful. I know sometimes I have problems with numbers. I do. That's why I use a calculator. What's important when you purchase the Speechcraft, I have to let you know about this because I've seen this happen on Toastmasters International Facebook page where someone wrote that they're having a Speechcraft program, but they needed the agenda if someone had it to share it with them. You're not allowed to do that. That is proprietary information for Toastmasters. Once you purchase the bundle, any information that you receive by having access from behind, and I like to call it behind the scenes in the portal, that is for you to use and download and to create presentations, to do what you are comfortable with to be able to successfully conduct the Speechcraft program. There's learning materials for you, and included behind the portal are the agendas for the Speechcraft sessions. As I said, Toastmasters gives you everything you need to run a Speechcraft program behind once you get access to the portal. If she doesn't have the agenda, she didn't purchase the bundle. We are not allowed to re-upload, reproduce, or retransmit any of those materials. And when you purchase the bundle, you will see when you go to the store, this is at the very bottom of that. This language is right there, and that's per protocol 4.0. And I take a lot of time to stress that so that you understand, because we don't realize it, and the people asking for the material don't realize what they're asking for. It's your responsibility as someone who has conducted a Speechcraft coordinator to know your legal responsibilities. And I stress that in all my presentations. And this is your proof that only clubs can sponsor a Speechcraft. Your district is giving you an incentive to run Speechcraft. They're not sponsoring it. They're not coordinating it. They're giving you an incentive, and that is permissible. The club has to sponsor it. Club has to run the Speechcraft. And the club has to be in good standing because it is the club name that goes into the portal as the club sponsoring it. And if you are not eligible, you will not be able to conduct the Speechcraft sessions. All right, so that's all the legal stuff and all the beginning stuff. And now I want to go into the coordinator benefits and why you might want to be a Speechcraft coordinator. As Wendy already told you, it's one of the requirements. As a matter of fact, she said it was item number 5. And personally, I'd rather do a Speechcraft coordinator than a youth leadership program. It's a shorter period of time, and I'm not required to redo that program every year. I don't think it's fair to start a youth leadership program if you're not going to commit to that for several years. This is 4, 6, or an 8-week commitment, and that is it. It's naturally going to improve your communication and leadership skills. We all, I don't care how long you're a Toastmaster, I still have anxiety sometimes when I'm going to speak to strangers. It helps you to overcome that because these are going to be people you don't know, and you're going to have to learn to communicate and relate to them. The other thing in Toastmasters, I firmly believe in this, it's about paying it forward. We are actually mentoring these participants. We're sharing our knowledge with them and trying to help them to grow. And while you're doing that, you're developing a relationship. You're building a community. That's what you need to do. If you want these people to become members to your clubs are a group, are a community. That's why it survives. When you don't have that community feeling with your members, do you stay? We don't stay in our clubs because of the education. We can go to any club to do that. We stay with our clubs because we've developed a community with those people. They become like our family. Well, that's what you're doing with your Speechcrafters. And when you develop that relationship, then they're more motivated to join your club. But if you're cold to them and not really connecting with them, they're not going to join your club. And the other thing, like Wendy said, it's like a PhD out there. This is an amazing program, and it gives you recognition and credibility. There is project management in this. that you can translate these skills to your work and actually put down on your performance review that you have done project management. And what's the best way to reinforce your knowledge is to teach it. And I already spoke about that. Networking and community building. That is the key to a successful program. Now I stop my slide. At this point, this is the first portion of the presentation, and I stop for a question and answer session. So, have there been any questions put in chat at this point? Or does anybody have any questions on what's been presented so far?
Yes,
And if not,
and yes, and I can see that Rishikesh has posted a questions asking, is there any expiry date for digital bundle once it is purchased?
no, not until you actually go into Speechcraft and put in a starting date. Not until you go into Speechcraft portal and put a starting date. So you can buy a bundle now and hold on to it so you're ready to use it. There's no expiration date. The expiration date becomes effective with the start after the end date of your session. That's 90 days afterwards.
Okay, and maybe a follow-up question from my side will be, when you put in start and end date for your or complete your Speechcraft session, are you bound to those dates or can those be modified?
Yes, I go into that later, but I'll answer that. You can modify your start date. I don't put in my start date when I sign up to have access. You don't need to put your start date in at the beginning. You can adjust your end date up to probably about 2 weeks before. That's when I adjusted my end date. I didn't want to take it to a week before in case it wouldn't let me. I didn't test it. I didn't want to test it. So I did it 2 weeks before. So you can extend the end date if you need to. But once the end date arrives within a week, once it arrives, you can't change it. Yes, Rich. Rich German has a question?
Rich, you're muted. Yeah, I just realized that. I was all set to conduct a Speechcraft last year. I had gone as far as putting the club name in, but not a starting date. And then a silly little thing happened, and a quadruple bypass turned up in my path. And while I was recuperating from that, the club folded. So it doesn't even exist anymore. Is that Speechcraft now dead, or can I change the name of the club up there?
I would call Toastmasters International, talk to their Speechcraft people and tell them what happened and that the club is no longer valid and you should be able to transfer it to another club. I don't think that should be a problem. You would have to call Toastmasters International. That's the first time I've heard that question. So my suggestion is call Toastmasters International and see what they say. And you know what, Rich, when you find out, can you email me and let me know?
I'll do that.
Because
Yeah,
I'd like
Rich.
to have that information.
Yeah, Rich, that's pretty valid. Since you didn't put a start date, the bundle was still active, and I believe you can edit the name actually by yourself. But if you cannot, then Toastmasters International will be able to reset that for you.
Okay.
Okay. Anna, you know that, right? Okay, terrific.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. I ran several Speechcrafts, and the start date and end date is super critical. So I would always tell people, don't put a date until you're absolutely certain that that's when you're going to start.
Exactly. I go in and get the learning materials and do all the prep work that I have to do. And then once I've marketed it and I have the participants and we've agreed on a start date, that's when you put the start date in. Don't do it before then.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
Mark.
it's nice. Sorry, it's nice to have the start date and end date because the people will get access to it for 90 days afterwards. Once the
Right.
end
I
date,
go into that.
yeah, once the end date is there, after 90 days, it's done.
Yep.
So that's why the clock matters.
Yeah, and before Mark, Sharon has a question in the chat.
Okay.
That to confirm, she said the club pays for the bundle. What if you can't complete the speeches in 90 days?
you extend, now you have more than you, I'll get into that. That's a question down the road. Right now, I just want to go over what we've done with the bundle. I get into that later. Because I want to move on with the presentation. Mark,
Yes, I just have a quick question about the cost. So $50 goes to Toastmaster International, and that's issued by the club, the sponsoring club.
correct.
And then any money you collect from the speech crafters that comes to the club, like
Right.
the field club. So
Yes, they pay the treasurer.
okay, but then they don't have to pay anything to access base camp, for the speech craft.
Um, no, once they pay, then they're going to get access to the Speechcraft portal.
Mhm.
You won't, when you collect the membership dues for the 6 months, you won't put that into the system until after the Speechcraft session is over. You don't want them a member while they're doing Speechcraft. You wait till after the session is over, and then you would activate their membership. And then they'll have access to the base camp, Pathways base camp portal.
I misspoke. So for them to access the portal when they're doing Speechcraft.
Right, they have to pay. And then I'm going to go and show you how they will get access. I'll show you how they get access to the portal. That's in a later part of the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
All right. There's no more questions about the purchase of the bundle. I'd like to continue if that's okay.
Go for it.
All right, let's move on. Because the next part is the planning. And what do you need to do to planning? I developed this timeline to explain why you need the 2 months. And this is based on, you started planning on September 9th. If you look down at the bottom, it's November 15th is when you're going to launch your session. That's how long it takes to prep and plan for the Speechcraft, because it takes time. You have to, if you want to be a Speechcraft coordinator, you need to ask your executive committee, can we sponsor this? You need their approval. And then you'd have to make the purchase, and there's steps, and I'm going to go through all that. And then you need to go in and access the portal. And I'm going to show you at the very end the materials that you need to access and you need to learn. You need to market this. And Cheryl went through that with you so that you get people who want to participate, non-members. And all during that process, you're organizing and planning, which I'm going to go over. And assign roles and all that, and who helps you with the Speechcraft. And then what I'm providing is an additional resource to you, which is a Speechcraft event checklist from courtesy of Fred Vorbach from District 13, who was their club growth director last year. And he's worked with me on Speechcraft presentations. And Wendy's going to put that in chat. That is an awesome handout that supports my timeline. I'm not going into those details because it's covered here. 6 to 8 weeks before the event, you need to decide your schedule and what session you're going to hold. And that actually depends on your clients. Will it be a 4-week, a 6-week, or an 8-week schedule? And then you're going to have to decide on a date and time. And again, that's going to be depending upon your client's availability. And you're going to be working on this, talking with them, finding out what their needs are. You're going to have to decide whether the sessions are going to be conducted during your regular meetings or at another time, holding a separate time. When I did my Speechcraft, it was a 2-hour session, and it was an 8-week session, and we covered all the topics. So they completed the entire course because that's what the Speechcraft program is designed for. It's based on an 8-week covering 7 to 8 speeches. However, if you reduce the time period, you have to decide what topics you want to teach your Speechcrafters about, because you can't cover everything in 4 to 6 weeks. These are all things that you have to decide. As I said, will it be a 1 or 2 hours? If it's only 1 hour, you're not going to cover as much material. You need to decide your tuition costs, as I discussed what that would be. and you need to review all Speechcraft protocols and know your legal responsibility. And then you need to get into the gateway behind the portal and get your materials and review them and find out what it is you need to know to conduct that Speechcraft program. Wow. Is that it now? How are you going to do this Speechcraft? You can't run it all yourself. The meeting is run similar to a Toastmasters meeting. You need a Toastmaster. You need a general evaluator. You need an evaluator for the educational presenters, because there's an educational presentation that is required to be done. It's asked to be done so that you are teaching them the subject matter before they actually do it. You need a table topics master. You need a timer. And I added the counter, and I found that very beneficial. Who's going to fill those roles? That's why you have to be a club in good standing. It's recommended. Get your members engaged. That's going to re-energize them. Get them to come and be the table topics master, be the timer, the counter. Even fairly new people who have been a member of your club for 1 to 2 months, they could do these roles. And when you're helping someone else, don't you get energy? Aren't you excited when you've helped someone learn something? I know I am. And that's how you infuse energy in your members as well. So you have to recruit these people. And what if I don't have enough members in my club? Well, you have a network of Toastmasters, right? Reach out to them. Ask them to help you. They'd be loved to. And you don't ask the same person for all sessions. You get different people to come in and fill those roles. This goes into the planning as to what I did. Does everybody know how to create a Excel validation worksheet? And if not, do the help in Excel. It's under data, and it's called data validation. This was a game saver for me. It helped me to organize who was doing what for my sessions. And what I did on the second tab was create this validation. And I listed all the roles that I needed, listed all the sessions and their dates, and then the educational topics. And I'm giving you a hint right here, but I'll go into it later. These are from the Better Speaker series. So I listed all that. Then on the first tab, what I did was my first column was my volunteers. The guides, you need a guide for each participant. Can you do one guide per 2? You could. Is it the best way to do it? No, but that would be your decision. And then if you see, I have all the meeting roles. So what would happen, I shared this spreadsheet with my volunteers and they could come in, put their name in. And what you don't see here, but there is a drop down here that you can click on. And you can click on the date. You can click on the meeting role. And if they were giving an educational session, they could pick which one they wanted. So the first person come in could have done session 5. And this makes it easier for you to coordinate all your support for the Speechcraft. And you don't have to do all the entries yourself. So you create the spreadsheet and you share it with the people that you ask. And it saved me lots of time. Now I want to pause on that portion of the planning to see if anybody has any questions on that portion of the 2 months prior to setting up a Speechcraft. Are there any questions about what you need to do? I will show you the materials that's shown in the video at the end. That's behind the portal, all the learning materials. I show you all that in the video. Yes, Wendy.
Yeah, I don't know if you will cover it. And this question is during our, planning or program, we thought about different clubs. Members have different strengths and levels of proficiency speaking. How do you create, customize, or some guideline to help them conduct the speech with quality, which is the main thing to attract new members and help members grow? Like I've seen some speech Speechcraft sessions actually invite guest speakers like Solazar to present the
Yes.
education session. But some
Correct.
clubs also have new members that could they become the Speechcrafter? Like the each bundle pays 5, right? Speechcraft. Could existing members be the Speechcrafter?
If you need to fill out the role, definitely. Definitely. And since they're already a member, it would be up to the club if they want to charge them $10 for the cost of the bundle, which is what it is. It's $10 per person. If you want to call, because that gives them access to the portal and the materials. That's the material cost of the bundle, $10 per person. So you could do that to fill out, and that would help that person fast track on their path. Yes, you could. And I provide guide instructions. I wrote up for my Speechcraft. I wrote up guides instructions and meeting instructions. And I provide that later in the slide, I believe. There's later in the presentation, you will be putting them in the chat. There are that I wrote up for my time as a coordinator to share my thoughts as a tip.
Thank you. If clubs cannot have enough, let's say, is it beneficial to invite outside speakers to share different views and different ideas as
Yes,
guest speaker or participants?
But you have to follow the Better Speaker Series because that's what their topics are based on. So you don't want to bring in a totally strange topic than what you're teaching them the basic. Like you don't want to talk about motivation when they need to learn how to select a topic or when they need to learn how to talk vocal variety. And I get into how you can help the presenters get the information that they need. That's discussed in the later presentation on I think it's in the next section.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
go into that. Yes, Mark.
Yes, a clarification question. Does a speech crafter need to be a non-member, or can a Toastmaster member also be a speech crafter?
It's the program's developed for non-members because the idea is you want to grow your membership. If all your members go to the Speechcraft session, you're not going to grow your membership. You already have them. So it's developed for non-members because you're teaching them the basics. Members who have completed level 1 really don't need Speechcraft because basically that's what Speechcraft is covering. It's your basic learning speaking skills. So it's meant for non-members, but if you have a brand new member who hasn't really moved yet on their path and you have an open slot, that would be an ideal slot for them to fill. Does that make sense, Mark?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Susan, before I get to you, I want to ask Solazar or Sachin if there's any questions in chat that I'm jumping.
There is a question
Nothing.
from, go ahead, Sachin. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's a question from Rishikesh, but I think it's going to come later because it's about credit for the coordinator.
Yes. Though the credit for the coordinator is when they complete the Speechcraft, they will get credit. After the Speechcraft program has ended, there's a way that they will get credit and they have to complete steps in the Speechcraft portal themselves. And then they'll get their certificate, but that'll be shown later.
Okay, well, I want to add a level to that when we get to it later from his question.
Okay. All right. Susan?
Yes, and in your experience, what is the most effective way of marketing to bring in the participants?
I'm not a marketing expert. That is Cheryl Rouse. Did you attend her session?
No, but I've participated in Speechcraft. I joined from Speechcraft 29 years ago, but I've also conducted some and worldwide programs. I was just wondering what your insights are for the most effective way of reaching out.
I'm not an expert in that. I've listened to Cheryl's marketing like a pro for the Speechcraft, and I've learned from her. My Speechcraft, I didn't have to market. It was handed to me on a silver platter. but I would market it. I would put the flyers out there. I would market it on Facebook. I would market it in your local community, just like you would an open house. But I also would target businesses in the area and reach out to them to see if they have a need. And if they're leery of starting a Toastmasters club, because I'm going to start using this because I'm the club extension chair, I'm going to be honest with you. And we get contacts and you write them and they don't answer you. And they read everything they have to do to build a club. And it's like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Well, I'm going to call them back and offer them an opportunity to have a Speechcraft and give them an opportunity that it's only a short period of time of commitment and see how that goes. That's a way of maybe, I don't know. I'm testing areas out. I hope I've given you a different idea, but you are probably, since you've done it globally, you are probably more experienced than me in marketing because I didn't have to do it. So put in chat your tips for marketing.
Yeah, Susan, do you remember the tagline that got you into the door for your Speechcraft? Because that's a success story on the fact that it works.
A friend said, I have someplace I want you to come with me. I said yes, and then I said where. I had never heard of Toastmasters, and she brought me along, and I've been a member ever since. So,
There you
this
go.
is
That's
going back.
testimony to the personal invitation. So personal invitation matters the most. But yeah, all the things that Anne said, we put it on Facebook. We had people in the club pass it around to their friends that were non-Toastmasters. And that's how we got people in the door for the Toastmaster sessions that I've run.
Yep.
But I've also been handed one on a silver platter that Solazar helped me out with. And that was a
Yes.
very fun one. So it works both
Isn't
ways.
that nice when that happens?
Yes.
Yes, Wendy.
I just want to have very quick comments. I know we're very interested. These are very interesting topics. So one is someone asked that if we have Cheryl's session. Yes, we recorded and we also have handouts and various materials. Sachin has arranged them, has an email. If you are interested, contact Sachin for now, but we also are in the process working with PR team. I know Prometheus is here to upload in the YouTube channel and share that link as well. My second comments is, I think I have an idea for the next Speechcraft great events, Susan, Anne, and Anna and Anne, maybe we can all be on the panel and for tips and personal experiences.
That's a
Sachin,
good
get
idea.
that ready. Planning. Okay, back to you, Anne. Thank you.
All right. If there are no more questions on the planning session, I'd like to move forward. Everybody good with that?
I have a question.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
Pamela, it's not about planning, though. Your question's not about planning.
Okay.
It's more about marketing. So
Yeah. Can we? All right.
let's hold it for later.
Thank you. Thank you, Salazar. All right. Now we're going into the resources, gathering and organizing. Let's get into this. You got a little tip before the educational presentation series. It's free. It's an awesome module. As a matter of fact, all the modules out there on Toastmasters.org in the shop are phenomenal. Some are still free. Some they've changed from free and they're now charging for. Download the free ones. There are successful clubs, communication series, and this is the Better Speaker series. These are 10 topics that are covered. This is what the presenters, the educational presenters, present their materials from. It's like the training manuals that they offer the officers. When you're training officers, TLL time, there's a script there. They guide you. Toastmasters provides the guidance on how to present this material. This is what the educational sessions are about. Selecting your topic is the very first one in session 1. Why? Because it's the icebreaker speech. Some of these people have no idea what they're supposed to talk about or how. You, as the educational presenter, would be presenting this to them. You'll have a manual script that'll tell you how. There's even a outdated, and it is outdated, presentation. You need to update that presentation. The presenter would need to. But if you, and it's going to be a seasoned presenter that does this, so they're going to know what to do. Now, what I did when I was the coordinator for my Speechcraft session, and not everybody does this, was I researched additional information on that particular topic. How'd I do it? Google.com, Bing.com, whatever. I can get whatever information I want. All I do is have to type in the title and I'll get resources. And I sift through important resources, and I gave all that material to the presenter to put their presentation together. I wasn't assuming, I didn't want them to have to do all the work. So and then from their own knowledge, they're going to build presentation. And it is a 15-minute presentation that is delivered. So that's going to be part of your meeting. So if you have an hour meeting, realize this first 15 minutes is going to be shot between the opening, the Toastmaster greeting, and then the presentation. And the presenters did try to cut it down a little bit to save time. But these are your topics, and this is what you're going to teach your speech crafters. Before they do the project, you need to teach them how to select the topic, how to organize your speech. That's writing with a purpose. Beginning your speech, all these, they're all there. And the agenda tells you which one to do for what meeting. That's the beauty of Toastmasters. You're not left to figure this out on your own. They give you all the instructions you need. I love doing my Speechcraft. It was awesome. Now, they also give you the content. They tell you, and this is the content handout. All right, it's the Speechcraft content overview. And it tells you, choosing a topic. These are the topics that are covered. How to evaluate vocal variety. You know what I did for my Speechcraft? I combined the vocal variety and body language into one speech, like we do in Pathways. Says them a speech, make it one speech. Then on the right here, I'm showing you what happens. If they complete all 7 or 8 speeches, it tells you right over here, they will, once they become a member of Toastmasters, this equates to a completion of level 1 and 2 electives in level 3. Now, how do they get credit for that? Once the VP membership submits their information as a member and adds them as a member, and they're officially a member of your club, and this is after the Speechcraft session is over. You don't make them a member before. Then the VPE writes to Toastmasters Education Department, gives them the person's information, the dates of the Speechcraft, and asks them to provide credit to them in their base camp for completing that. The VPE can do that. You need to write to Toastmasters. That's what I was told. That's how they're going to get credit. And you know what that's going to do for your other members? Oh my God, I'm only on level 1. I haven't even done my 3rd project. They're in at level 1 and they got 2 electives, and you promote that? That just might motivate some members to get going. What do you think? Do you think that's going to happen in your club? And you have to be enthusiastic when you talk about it too, and give them an award for completing that. You know, that certificate? Make a big deal of it. That's what's exciting members when you bring energy to it. All right. Now I'm going to show you how I organize my files. You think that's the simplest thing? Can be. Well, I had to figure it out. I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed with all the information I was getting. I was like in a candy jar, a kid with a candy jar. All these goodies are coming to me. How am I going to organize them? Wow, this is great. This is what I did. When I do this as VPE too, I tell everybody to create a Toastmasters folder and to put their stuff in it and subfolders. So what I created, as you see on the left, is a Speechcraft project. That's when I had mine. And then within that folder, I created subfolders. You see right here at the bottom, the Speechcraft coordinator instructions. All the instructions that I got behind a portal, I copied and put into a PowerPoint presentation and saved them so that I could refer to them. Why did I go to that work? What if the internet's down? What if the site's down and I need to access those materials and I have a class coming up? I have no way of accessing those materials. I am going to be freaking out trying to get my stuff together. This helps you get your stuff together and know that you will have it on hand when you need it. Speechcraft guides, instructions that I created, and the guides, instructions that are behind the scenes, I put there. They give you all the session resources you will need to share. Created a folder for that. Then what happened? I created a folder for each session. And what I did was I copied and pasted for each session what I needed. And that's the agendas too. So my agenda 1, I separated them out. So when my first session began, I went to my session 1 materials and everything was there. That helped me to get to know the materials that I needed for those sessions, but then it stuck in my brain. And then I wasn't being confused by everything. That's how I did it. And it worked for me because you see down at the bottom, here's the Speechcraft template agendas. I don't want to go in there every time. I just want to get my session 1 and create my agenda, and it's there. This is my resources. This is where I'm going to get my materials. But then for my sessions, I know where everything is, and I know it's in there. That way you have all the materials you need for each session because Toastmaster guides you for what you need to do for each meeting. These are best practices. And again, this is a result of Cheryl, myself, and Fred holding a best practice Speechcraft session last December. And as a result of that and what came out of it, Fred very graciously put together some best practices. And I am sharing that with you as well to help guide you. And it goes over a lot of the things that I've spent time covering. All right. I want to stop at this point before I go into the actual video. The video is going to take you behind the scenes and give you a lot more information. It's a 25-minute video. Are there any questions regarding the organization of your Speechcraft program? And I believe that Wendy had she had put into the chat the meeting guidelines as well as the guides instructions for that. Yes, Wendy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to review your best practices, but can you share a few highlights? Like what are the biggest, the most painful things or your most valuable lessons learned?
Was getting my volunteers early and organizing it in that spreadsheet. That because then what you're doing is you're scheduling your volunteers for your sessions and you have your schedule and they know when they're coming. You have a committed date from them. That's why it's important to determine your dates for your session. And once you do that, and again, you're not saying this is October 19th and I'm going to have my first session on October 26th. Now, that's be 3 weeks out. You need to give time for your volunteers and give them enough time to make room on their schedule to attend. And once you book your first 2 meetings, you continue booking your volunteers for the rest of your meetings. But for those first 2 meetings, you get your information to your educational presenter so they can start working on their presentation and they know what they're going to do. And you get your commitment from your volunteers to attend those meetings to fill the different roles. And I do suggest, yes, Speechcraft to have it at a different time than your meeting. That's my personal preference. I know clubs that have done it within their meeting. Yes, Mark.
We recommend them to do at the same meeting time because it's maybe building new clubs is different matter. So I want to recap your biggest tip. Yeah, I agree. the volunteers, we can invite them. Most people will say yes to 1 or 2 sessions, but we need to give them a heads up and plan them in the pipeline coming, not the last day or week. Thank you.
Right. And then get your know your educational materials. Download those educational materials that you need to have as a coordinator so you know how you need to conduct these sessions.
So we probably should plan an agenda template and then just start to fill in, right, in
Yes.
advance. Thank you.
Mark?
Okay, question for the 8 sessions of Speechcraft. What happens when your Speechcrafter cannot make every session?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. There's a couple of things. One, they'll only get credit for what they complete. So if they don't complete all speeches, they won't complete level 1. And on that handout that Wendy put in there, the credit, the pathways credit, it tells you exactly what they're going to get credit for. But for my speech crafters, what I did, I invited them to my clubs if they wanted to, because life happens, right? I invited them to give their speech at my club, and they were evaluated so that they could get credit for completing it. That's what I did. I thought outside the box, and I said, I want you to get full credit. And they loved it, and many took me up on it. Solar or Sashin, are there any questions in chat?
Well, Sachin is going to give questions after the presentation.
The video? Okay.
Because they're all over the place.
Okay. So let me start the video. Speechcraft coordinator, that you have that material because you're responsible. We are finally getting to the Speechcraft portal. This is your everyone can hear it, right? Can you hear it?
Did you
I
pause it?
cannot.
Because we cannot hear it now. If you paused it, we
No.
cannot hear it.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
There's a lot of homework for you to do.
You're good. When it's not
Before you
paused.
even conduct your first session. Wow, that's a lot to cover. And now we are finally getting to the Speechcraft portal. This is your login. But before you log in, you do have an opportunity to see what the Speechcraft is about. There are overview information that you can get without buying the bundle. I suggest you listen to this very important video that tells you about the Speechcraft experience and explains the portal and how it works. That's very important. Up here, if you click the overview, it will take you to overview. And it explains the overview. And for quick synopsis of Speechcraft content, here you go. It's going to take you to Toastmaster Speechcraft content, which I showed you can download from Toastmasters website, all at one shot from that resource page. Get all your information from resource so you're not spending extra time downloading material. Here's the coordinator. Again, this will take you to the Toastmasters website to buy it, the coordinator quick start guide, and the participant quick start guide. I already told you to get that information from the store, so you're ahead of the game. This is an important webinar that you would have to watch. It's about 61 minutes long. But when you click on that, you have to register. You have to register and since I've already done it and I'm in my Speechcraft, it shows you when the date and time that I registered to watch that webinar. And therefore you would have to fill this form out to be able to watch that webinar. Oops. Did I lose my space? Toastmasters International. Okay, there we go. Then it tells you who would be interested in attending. And this is important to know, and this is going to help you decide how many sessions you're going to have. Let's suppose you want to do a Speechcraft webinar for your corporate executives, separate from your club. They don't have the time for an 8-week course. You will more likely do a 4-session course, a 4-week course. And you could work with them on picking out the topics that you want to cover. And then you would concentrate on the 4 most important topics with them. So this is going to determine your session. If it's someone that wants to become a Toastmaster or wants even more knowledge, then your 8 sessions going to be more the type of session that you would hold. But if it's someone that just wants an introduction to public speaking, you could hold the 4 session. Now I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to log in because I want to share with you I think that's my password. Let's give it a minute to sign in. I'm going to outline for you how to quick start your preparation. Before you could go to the coordinator guide, or you can go to create an event. Let's say I did click on the coordinator guide. I don't know why that came up. Okay, so it's going to take you to coordinator guide, and it's going to give you the coordinator overview. And then it's going to outline for you how to quick start your preparation before the event is created, things I have gone over. And this is stuff you should have covered before you even come in to create your event. And I've covered that already. So we're going to go to create a new event. And this is real important. You must decide what you're going to name your event. Because once you name it, you cannot change the name of the event. You can change the beginning date if you do it 1 to 2 weeks before, and you can change the end date. You can extend it if you do it 1 to 2 weeks before the end date. But once you name your event, that's the one thing you can't change. So be careful of your spelling and everything else, that it's spelled correctly. I tend to have a capital letter in the middle of mine. I'll show you what I mean. You don't need to put the club's URL if they have a free toast post or whatever. You don't need to know that. But this is why I want to emphasize that when you make the purchase, save that bundle order number. That is really important. You cannot activate your Speechcraft workshop without that bundle order number. So once you get confirmation and they give you a bundle order number, save that in a safe spot. Create yourself a Speechcraft portal or a Speechcraft folder on your computer and save it there, because you can't access the portal without it. And then they will ask you to verify your coordinator information here. And then you have to enter in the event details. See here, event name. It's really important that you name it what you want to call it. Mine was the Orally Speechcraft. Name it for your company if you want, or if it's for a special event. Speechcraft interviews, or interviews, Speechcraft for interviews, or whatever. You don't have to pick your date at this time. But if you are, you would click on this and provide the date and the time zone. I'm pausing it right now because I want to bring to your attention that I didn't mention in the video is, you see it says provide attendee price. You have to tell them what you are charging the Speechcrafters. That's why you need to make these decisions before you come in here. Right in there, they will ask you what you're charging them. They need to know that. All right? So if you're charging them $90, if you're charging them 110, that's perfectly okay, but Toastmasters wants to know what you're charging them.
And you have to put 0. You have to put something, by the
I
way.
know, yeah, I did. I didn't leave it 0. They want to know, please provide the price if you will charge per attendee, if anything. And then there's a question mark, and I didn't click on that, but I did. I put in what I charged them. I have, that was my one and only Speechcraft that I coordinated and did everything. I was a part of another one. I was a co-coordinator. And I didn't set up in the system, the both of them. It was done for me. I don't know what your experience is, Anna. Have you ever not put the money in there?
Yeah, sorry, let me correct what I meant to say. Don't select currency or put don't select currency to USD or whatever it is that you are trying to charge. Leave all of that blank if you're not charging anything.
Right.
That's what I meant to say, because it'll create a problem if you select a currency and leave it 0. There's some kind of glitch. And then you'll have to go back into Toastmasters International and ask them to reset the whole Speechcraft for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. But to get started, you don't have to pick your date yet, but you have to name it to be able, and you have to agree to the terms and condition. And once you hit that and submit it, then it will take you to your event page. And this is what I'm telling you about spelling. You see how my Speechcraft is? It's all in caps except for the S. You want to make sure. Then you will have to add your participants. And once this comes up, you'll see where you can add. Since I've already started mine and I have the participants, I really can't show you. This would be empty. It would tell you to add the person. You have to add them by name and email address. All right, and they will be added. You have to make sure they register for the event, because they will receive an email notice saying that they've been added. And they have to click on that link and register for the event to become a participant. And this will let you know if they've been registered or not. So there's some follow-up in the beginning as well. Then once you set that all up, it'll say, go to my Speechcraft Learning. And it's going to take to your Speechcraft portal in Basecamp. And it's going to look quite similar to what Pathways is. What I did was I've always clicked on the learning. You want a shortcut, when you click learning, what is here, these tabs are also in the learning tab. It says introduction, start here. That is for the coordinators to start here. And it's going to take you to a video of the Speechcraft coordinator. And it's going to take you to a video. The important thing to know is they're all slides or it's a video. This is a slide. It says start project, and you'll go through each of these. And if you click on this, it'll jump you to the introduction. What's important to know is every time you view a slide, there are resources over here in the upper right-hand corner. Do you see that? Download those resources and save them to your Speechcraft folder. You will need them for a reference later. You will find that helpful. I'm going to end this, and to exit out of the tabs that you are in each of the Speechcraft portals is you just do that and it'll bring you back. It's going to bring you back to your Pass and Learning page, similar to the Basecamp portal. This is for you, how to get started. Open the curriculum. This is your Speechcraft coordinator's introduction and your Speechcraft coordinator planning. You need to launch that. You have some learning to do before you even conduct the Speechcraft. That's why I said you need 3 to 4 weeks before you do your Speechcraft so that you can learn what you need to do to conduct the Speechcraft. It's the same thing as your Basecamp Path and Learning page. If you open up in Basecamp in Pathways, if you open up all the resources, when you go to the resource page for the evaluation forms and you come to your Path and Learning, you'll see it here with all your projects. Don't worry about having to mark it complete or not. It's just showing that you had activated it and if you want to mark it complete. So that's how to get started. Then for each session, you have a guide as to what to present at that session. They guide you. And you launch that. And that is another slide presentation. And I'll hit restart. And again, Coordinator's Guide, Session 1, choose a topic. That's what your objective is. Choose a topic. Teaching them how to choose a topic to write a speech. Talks about your first session, and these are the 3 objectives. It walks you through the steps. You want to introduce the Speechcraft program. You want to develop speech topic selection skills and impromptu speaking. That's where table topics is introduced. And on this slide, on these here, it shows you and it tells you what you need to do with the table topics. Again, I'm not going through that, but here's your resources for session 1. As you see, they have a session 1 8 agenda, a session 1 6 agenda, and a session 1 agenda for 4 sessions. It gives you an outline and it's easy to follow. I recommend downloading all of them. They even have a blank template. This Speechcraft self-assessment before, what is that? Before the Speechcrafters can begin, they have a self-assessment that they need to do, and they do it online. What they're advising you to do here is to download it and print it as a PDF and be able to share it with the Speechcrafters in case someone has problem technically with accessing it on the Speechcraft portal. So that's the before. Now, remember I talked about educational presentations. Well, here's the outline for that presentation. As you see in session 1, there are 2. In each session, they will give you an outline for the educational presentation that needs to be given. Select a speech topic presentation outline and the value of improving public speaking. You give that to your 2 educational presenters. It gives them a guideline as to what Toastmasters is looking for the presenter to provide the Speechcrafters, what information. And then you go to the Better Speaker series and see what type of information they offer you for that. And then you formulate your presentation based on your research of the resources. And that's how any good presenter puts together the material for a presentation. And that's how it is done, because in Toastmasters, what is this? Let me go this. Better Speak Universal. Okay, so let me move this. So and you would have to go through each of these. I recommend in the beginning, if you have the time, download all 8 sessions. Take the time to go through the sessions and know what you need to know. If you don't, at least download the first 3 to begin with, go through those lessons and learn what you need to know, and then work ahead until you have all of them. You need to be prepared for each session ahead of you. And then you have videos as a Speechcraft. Getting started on Basecamp as a Speechcraft coordinator, It walks you through the step on how to work the base camp here in Speechcraft. And it gives you an overview. It's a video. You have written information, and then you have a video that explains everything. So far, so good, because that is a lot of information. Now, similar to Pathways as the Basecamp manager, you will notice this is the same setup. You have a view teams here. If you go to the Paths and Learning and Pathways Basecamp, it brings you to this page. When you hit View Teams, it lets you see, the same as in Pathways, when you can see each member, you can click on each person and see if they've done the work that they're supposed to. The same as Pathways. It only shows what's active. Since my Speechcraft work sessions have been completed in May, to show you what I'm talking about, I have to go to the completed drop-down menu. And you want to click on coordinator tracking. Now this will tell you completed. If they didn't do their self-assessment, it will tell you that it needs to be activated, just like in Pathways. If they opened it and viewed it, this will say launch and this will say in progress. The coordinator tracking, that's where you want to go. And then it'll say speech tracking, and you want to view the details. And this will tell you whether or not they've come into their own base camp and did the necessary steps to mark that they've completed a speech project. It's a little bit different than in Pathways. Sometimes you don't know whether a member completed it or not because they may have done a speech at another club or something like that. But in this case, they're going to do their speeches in your Speechcraft sessions, so you will know. And you want to make sure that you tell them that after they give their speech, they must come into their Basecamp portal and mark the project complete. You need to come here and verify that they did that. And once you do that, log out of the Basecamp portal, just like you would in Pathways, on this cogwheel or the setting symbol, and hit log out. It's not going to log you out of the portal. It's just going to log you out of Basecamp for them. And I may have gone an extra step that I didn't have to. You may have been able to go back to learning. I'm not sure. But this is the one important step as the Speechcrafter coordinator you must do. You must validate their speeches were completed, because that is the way Toastmasters International is going to know that they've completed their projects. And this is the screen you're going to get. Just put in the date of your meeting and the completion time. And then what you need to do is to search an existing training. And then you'll get this pop-up over here on the right. Let's say they did their icebreaker. All you have to do is type in icebreaker. You have to type in the topic that was covered for their speech. And you see, you get an automatic pop-up and you hit material. Then the screen changes. And it says Speechcraft icebreaker and the date's there. But now you have to add the attendees. So you have to hit next. And they're going to tell you to add the attendees. And you add the attendees there. And everyone, all 5 of your Speechcrafters will show up. And you just hit select. I think there's a select all, but I don't see it. Right. There might be a select all. All right. And then what you would do, you would hit save. And once you hit save, the new screen's going to show you this. And you can do a bulk record. If you select all, you can do a bulk record and it will record everyone as having completed that. The next screen will come up and you will have to mark that they completed it. So if you hit bulk score, then the next screen will come up and then you mark record. If I deselect all, and let's say I just select the first one and I hit record, this is the result. This is what you're going to have to mark. And I don't score, I just say that they completed. So that's the screen you would see. It's real important that you validate each speech that they completed. Otherwise, they will not get credit from Toastmasters organization when they go to join another club. That's the way TI knows that they completed it.
Yep, same. So
Down
you,
at the,
the
right, so
coordinator is the
that's that.
VPE.
Let's go back to learning. Session 8 overview. All right, we're going to have to go back to home. Your dashboard. I showed how you can check individually if they've done their homework or the lessons. What I was concerned about in the beginning is the Speechcraft assessment. And I could tell whether they did their before assessment before we met. It's important that they complete the before assessment before your first meeting. It's only something they receive and you as the coordinator receive. And it's basically a survey asking them how they feel about their ability with public speaking. Then at your midway point of your session, they are to do another self-assessment. And this one, naturally, is supposed to say that they've improved. It reminds me of the self-assessments that we do in Pathways, before and after each of our projects. And we have to do the after, so that Pathways, so that Basecamp knows the project is done and we get a check mark. In this case, they I will continue the video if you want. I see that we're at 1:31. Is that okay? I want to double check. Is that okay?
That's fine, and we can keep the Zoom on, you know, for folks who have questions. We just want to leave some time for folks who have questions.
Why don't we stop, because that's pretty much at the end, and we'll do questions.
Sounds good.
And you'll be sharing the video. Isn't the club that buys the bundle? Yes, Sharon. Yes, it is the club that buys the bundle. All right, let's open it up for some questions.
Sachin, did you want to ask the questions that you have, or?
Yes, so there were actually multiple questions that came in during your session, and I think some were not in line with the topic that you are presenting. So I just waited till the end of the session to complete those things. Jim asked earlier if can people work together to coordinate a Speechcraft series, and do they all get credit?
It's only the coordinator. One coordinator per session will receive credit. If you have more than 5, you can have 2 coordinators in each. The people helping you coordinate it and the people that volunteer their time doesn't help towards their DTM, but those speeches they can use and apply it towards a Pathways project, one of the electives, and it helps you progress in Pathways. That's what I had recommended my education evaluators do. Also, when they evaluate a Speechcrafter, they can ask the seasoned Speechcrafter to evaluate their evaluation in a written evaluation, and they can get credit for that part 3 of feedback and evaluation project in level 1. And Toastmaster and table topics and general evaluator are roles that are needed to be filled before you move on to level 4, ideally. They can complete those roles as well and get credit for them and use them for their pathways.
Thank you.
Thanks, that's all.
Can I, Rich, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, last year when I was trying to plan this this event before it all, went sideways with the surgery, I found getting into the Speechcraft portal a very arcane process, even with help from Anna Garcia. I mean, the amount of information I was able to get was mostly platitudes and hype, photos of smiling people gathered around a lectern and such. It was extremely cagey about giving up any useful information for planning the session. I got an enormous amount of material from this session that I was never able to access. I couldn't see any of those nifty things that we were going through on the website. It was a very unsatisfactory experience.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that. My experience was wonderful. And as I said, I don't expect the material to change. I just think it's going to be easier to navigate to get to with the upgrade. It's going to be more intuitive. Believe me, I'm going to buy a bundle as soon as it's updated so I can get my hands in there and see what it looks like. So I know what the difference is, but it's going to be wonderful. I just know it is. I mean, I just love the site.
Yeah, we saw the video and we saw how she got in, just expected it's going to be similar, but probably look a little visually different. But I don't expect that the underlying menus and how to, the data that they're, the resources that they're providing is going to be any different, or the layout of how to find that might be very similar, but just expect that it will look a little different. The same thing with your own personal Basecamp pathways, right? So as soon as you're able to log in, just go in so you can get a lay of the land.
And if you get a chance, go out to Toastmasters.org, Pathways Updates, and see the 15-minute video that they're showing you the new intuitive view.
Yeah, and I have it posted on D101 under Basecamp outage. The video is there if you want to go take a look at it.
Thank you.
And the link to the district, to the Toastmasters Pathways update is also there. So that'll link you to Toastmasters International, but the video is on our District 101 page for that information.
Fantastic, Anna. That's awesome. All right, so there's a question here from Arlene. How do all 5 people do their icebreaker speech and other speeches in the 4 8-week session? Seems like a lot of speeches in a short amount of time. Yes, you only have 5 people. So if you have a 2-hour session, you can get what I did for my speech crafters, and I had 10. We had 5 icebreakers are 4 to 6 minutes. You can do 5 in one meeting, but you can limit it to 3. That's why the 8 sessions are there. And what happens is you have them give their icebreaker, and you have the seasoned Toastmasters evaluate their icebreakers. The second session, they give their second speech. I put them on the fire right away. I have them now start evaluating each other. And you will be amazed at the insight that they can deliver in an evaluation. That way, they're learning how to evaluate. What happens is then the guides meet with them. In the meetings, what happened is there's time for them to go in breakout rooms and meet one-on-one. And the guides are their mentors. And that's why it's important, because they can give them one-to-one attention and advice. And they tell them what they did well with the evaluation and how to improve it. And also, when when the seasoned Toastmasters evaluate the icebreakers during that session, there again, breakout rooms, they can talk to them one-on-one. So they not only get an oral evaluation, but they get that one-on-one mentoring all throughout the meetings. And they become engaged that way. So you can get through all those speeches. But if you only have 4 sessions, they're only going to do 4 speeches. So if you have 5 people, you need them all to speak in each meeting to get all 4 in. And that's why I highly recommend the 2-hour format. The 1-hour format, these are things that you have to consider. Again, I did one Speechcraft session. I did another one that was only an hour. And I didn't like I didn't like being the co-coordinator where it was only a 1-hour session. I couldn't control that. And I really wasn't really happy with it. I liked when I conducted the Speechcraft, I did it outside my club and I did it for 2 hours and they were able to get their speeches in. These are all things that you have to consider. So it can be done. Yes, Salazar.
And in my experience, the speeches for Speechcraft are less than the normal times within Toastmasters.
Yes.
So even the
Correct.
icebreaker is less than 4 to 6 minutes. So
That's right. It's 3 to 5. And it's not 5 to 7. It's 4 to 6, I think, or 4 to 5. It's not the same amount of time. But what I did for my sessions, because it was 2 hours, I asked them if they wanted to do their speeches for the normal length of time. I gave them that option if they wanted to experience it. And it's the same thing with table topics. Table topics is much shorter. It's not the full 1 to 2 minutes. I think it's 30, 60, and then 90 seconds. That's all they have to speak for table topics. Your evaluations are not 2 to 3 minutes. Your evaluations are like 1 to 2 minutes. Everything is shorter and more condensed to get through the sessions. Does that make sense, Arlene? Did I answer your question? Thank you, Salazar, for that reminder too.
I have some pending questions. Can we just clear them off?
Sure.
Yeah. So Rishikesh asked, after Speechcraft event, is it mandatory for participant to join as member so coordinator receives credit?
No, it's not mandatory for the coordinator to receive credit. But that's whether they join or not is going to determine, and if they don't join, that's the fundraising part of the event that the club has now earned. And you use that money, and it must be used for educational purposes. You can't use it for parties, and we like to have parties, and we like to have food at our events. You don't use it for that. What you can do is sponsor a member to attend your district conference, or maybe even the international convention, or buy it for educational materials for promotional recognition in your club. That's what that money must be spent on if you make a profit from it, because we're nonprofit. So you have to put it back into the educational portion because it was an educational income. Not really, I'm using the wrong terminology there, but all right.
Great. Next question from Sharon was, what if you can't complete the speeches in 90 days? I don't know if we completed this question earlier or not.
Okay. They will get credit. What it is it's not completing speeches in 90 days. It's completing the speeches within the time frame of your session, whether it's a 4-week, 6-week, or 8-week session. After the last date of your session, today is October 19th. It's closed. We finished. We're going to have we had a celebration, congratulated everybody. 90 days from today, any materials in your portal, even as a Speechcraft coordinator, your certificate, their information, it will be gone. You won't have access to it. That's why it's important that they download their completion certificates, that you download your completion certificates, that you download their completion certificates and do a presentation. If there's any materials in that portal that you want, download it. Because once the 90 days expiration period comes, you're locked out. Everybody's locked out. And if they haven't completed their speeches, whatever they got credit for, that's it. And if they join a club, they'll have to pick up from where they left off.
Yeah, that's the critical piece, because once they finish a Speechcraft and they did do all their speeches, they get credit for level 1 if they join as a member. But if you don't, jump on it right away, then they're going to lose that credit and they'll have to start at the club, and then redo their level 1.
Mhm.
Great.
We also incentivize them by crediting the money they pay towards the TI fee, right? Member fee.
You got it,
that's-
right. That's why you asked for the tuition to include 6 months membership, right?
Yeah, so a lot of things on the table, the money and also pathway level.
Yep. Make sure you collect
Just
that
have-
$20 member fee.
Yeah, I just have a quick.
You're breaking up.
Actually, yeah, my internet is not that good, but if I break again, just disregard. Is there a minimum number of speeches they have to give to complete the Speechcraft, be certified?
No. As a matter of fact, as a coordinator, you can get credit for only having one Speechcrafter. You can conduct a Speechcraft session
No, number
with
of
just,
speeches.
no, I'm going to get to that, but you can conduct a Speechcraft session with just one Speechcrafter and still get credit. A Speechcrafter, if they only complete one speech, they only complete one speech. There's no, life happens. I had one join, did one speech, never came back. Well, if she ever comes into Toastmasters, what's going to happen is she'll have to start from ground zero because there's no credit for just one speech. And you see that on the Pathways credit sheet. They tell you how many speeches they need to complete at a minimum to get credit for something. So yeah, so there isn't, it's up to them. Life happens, we can't control that.
I see. So it's their loss to pay the money and not do anything. So then my next quick question is, what's the reasonable amount to charge? I feel bad if I charge them like $100 because we have to have something to offer, right? So once I give a speech about Speechcraft, I did a poll. I think $30 is the maximum, probably. What based on your experience, what are the reasonable amounts?
I
that you charge?
think the $110 is reasonable. The hours that you don't get paid for your hours, but the material that they're being offered. What you're doing is you're only charging when you're charging them $60 for a 6-month membership and $20 for the new member fee. Once the Speechcraft ends, that's $80. You can determine what
I
you
know
want to
it's what-
charge for the bundle. The bundle's $10 per person. So if you want to charge them 20, charge them $20 on top of the 80. So that would be $100. It's a tuition cost into an educational program that you are providing them. And the educational program doesn't end with the Speechcraft. They're given,
you have to believe it, right? It's same
well,
as
you have to believe it.
membership.
You have to believe that you got a worthwhile product, and that's how you sell it. And if you sell it hesitantly, they're not going to buy into it. Cheryl Rouse is
Sounds-
another one that joined because of Speechcraft. And if you're not comfortable charging them the membership fee, then just charge them what you want to charge them for the Speechcraft. But the purpose of Speechcraft is to add new members. And that's how you can do that. And that's why Toastmasters is telling you, if TI is telling you can charge $120, why do you feel bad about it? Because TI, if it wasn't ethical, TI would not say it. And it's a way to add members, because once they become members after that Speechcraft, and you've developed that community and they become part of your community,
Yeah, I'm just not sure.
people stay in Toastmasters because they want to grow and continue to grow and develop. People that leave our clubs find no use to it. And that will be the same. You just have to decide for yourself what you prefer to do. But I just tell people how they can grow. It's up to them to decide how they want their clubs to grow and how they want to do it. I don't dictate. You have to decide for yourself how you want to promote the Speechcraft.
Yeah,
And it's up to the club to decide, right, Anna?
Yeah, I wanna just kind of break it down. So if a club is using this to drive membership growth, and you need five or more members to get to your 20 or to become president's some sort of distinction, and you're using this, then yes, you can consider that to say, hey, not only are you going to learn how to do Speechcraft and get better, but you're going to get a 6-month membership out of this. Into our club where you can continue to practice what you're going to learn. And that then means that you're going to charge them the $80 for those 6 months plus, and that could be your base minimum. You're not going to charge them for the Speechcraft, but you can break it down and say this thing costs the club $10 per person to run. So you can charge them that minimum amount and not, say you, then later on they can turn into a member and then you can charge them the $80. So 10 could be the minimum. You can charge them nothing if your club is willing to sponsor people just to get exposure to Toastmasters. But
Right.
you have to know what Anna's saying is that we have a quality product and we should not treat it like we need to give it away for free.
Exactly.
There's so much to be gained by joining. And when you put a value on it, then people value it. If you don't put a value on it, then people don't value it. And we see that with our corporate clubs because all these corporate companies want to sponsor people to be in Toastmasters, and then the members that are there, they don't care about it because there's no skin in the game for them financially. They're getting it for
Exactly.
free, so they don't value it.
I agree. It's really a way how to market. This is really how to market. I love the message. My point is not that I don't believe. It's just how many non-Toastmasters, participants you can get. It's a practical question. But I really am inspired by your answers. Yeah, I think it's the way to market. If you market it as Speechcraft course plus 6 months membership fee for $80, that seems like a great deal. Thank you.
Salazar, Session, do you have more questions?
Yes, I am still not complete with my list. I think those people
Go
must
ahead.
be waiting for
Go
their
ahead,
questions
Sachin.
to be answered. Pamela has been quite attentive and she asked 2 more questions. And one was related to, I think, reaching out to people outside the club. So local club will sponsor Speechcraft. And if you people who are interested in Toastmaster who don't live in your area may not want to join the club where you are doing the Speechcraft, how do you approach this?
Okay, so she's doing an online Speechcraft session and people from out of her area are coming.
Yeah.
What and your club isn't virtual, I would assume. You're an in-person club.
No,
Because
they're
that's why they can't.
they're virtual. Both my clubs that I'm in are
Okay.
virtual.
Well, they should be able to join
I mean,
your club if they're hybrid.
I meant
Okay.
Yeah. And I just didn't know if it's appropriate to invite people that don't even live around you that are interested in Toastmasters to come and sponsor this in one of the clubs that I belong to. And one is in my area and one is in a different area. They're all 101.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then what you would do
Ties
is you
into
would
the other
conduct.
question, can you have 2 clubs do this?
Yes, you can. But you can't if you can only get credit. You will only get credit if you do them at the same time and are the coordinator for both clubs. You will only get credit for one.
Sure.
You have to redo the Speechcraft to get credit. So the idea would be to get a member from the other club who would be interested in being the coordinator, and you could combine the sessions together and have 2 coordinators.
Yes,
And you would
agreed.
have 2 names.
Yep.
And that way you can market each area. But the beauty of that is they would come together in one meeting. Now you'll have 10 speech crafters. You would need to do a 2-hour session, or you'd have to meet every week. Well, and I also recommend even in the 8-week that you meet every week. Because think about this, if you meet every other week, you have now turned that 8-week session into a 16-week session. Life happens. The likelihood of everyone being able to attend every session dwindles because you've expanded that time frame. It's ideal if you can to have it every week. It gets through the course quicker, and the people being able to attend is higher on a weekly basis than if you were to spread it out over 3 months. But yes, you could have 2 clubs come together to do that.
And you said you can have, and both coordinators from each club will get credit. Is that what you
Yes.
also said? Oh, good, thanks.
Yep.
And I
And you
think,
would put
Pamela,
in their name.
yeah, Pamela, I think that also answers your question about whether someone from outside a club can conduct a speechcraft. So it is possible.
Yeah.
Can clubs collaborate? So I think Nitish, this also answers your question about whether clubs can collaborate to run a speechcraft, but I think only one person gets that credit for being the coordinator.
Right.
Yes, I think there are
Unless,
2 more
right.
hands raised I can see.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sholazar, you were the first one, then Rich, you can go ahead later.
Hey, thanks, Asheen. And Aaron, one of the things I wanted to mention when we were talking about the fee and what you charge is that it kind of also goes back to your very beginning where you talked about how you're marketing out to people of what you're saying. So we're not charging for Toastmasters, we're charging for the ability to do interviews, for the ability to actually do eulogies, speech, in other words, all these life skills that we're giving a session on. And that's what they're getting the value for. I just wanted to throw that out.
That's exactly. And when you give value, it's like Anna said it beautifully. We have a product, a superb product to be proud of. And when you give something superbly away for free, when you give people stuff for free, they don't appreciate it. And they have no skin in the game. And they don't value it. And charging a nice fee for it makes it even more valuable in their mind. And how you sell this is if they were to go to a Dale Carnegie 1-month session, they would not learn nearly as much, and they would pay probably somewhere between $500 or more. And they get no
$18.95.
feedback. How much?
$18.95 for Dale
It's gone
Carnegie.
up. $18.95. And they don't get the feedback nor the value that we give them. So value your product. Be proud to be a Toastmaster. Be proud of our products and be excited about them and show your appreciation. And guess what? You reflect that on them. And this is what we need to do with our members too. We losing members. They don't value what they're getting for their money. They don't value their product. And we have a superb product that we are offering to our members. Don't diss it. Don't disrespect it by not coming to meetings. Don't disrespect it by not working your path. Why did you join Toastmasters? Do you want to personally grow? Don't disrespect me or my product because I value it at its highest level. If you went outside of Toastmasters to get this, you wouldn't be able to pay for it. And if you put $1,800 out, I bet you'd be at every meeting. And we need to get real with our members too. Now, I've come off a little strong, and I tend to do that, so I have to tamper it down, but that's how excited I get about it. And maybe sometimes we need to speak to our members like they are children and let them realize how important what we have. And maybe we'll be able to retain our members even more because we got something nobody else can offer them. We have the best product on the market, the best group on the market. And you know why? Because we build communities. Dale Carnegie doesn't build communities. You don't meet those people anymore. We build communities. We build families that support one another. That's what makes Toastmasters so special. I know, not too strong, important for everyone to hear. I know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I get so excited and my tongue gets stern. So take the sternness out and read my heart. Okay.
Please record that.
That's
Love
Rich,
your talk. It was wonderful. Thank you.
I'm
Yeah,
I got
I-
off record there.
Rich.
I'm sorry.
I
Any
belong,
questions?
go ahead. I currently belong to two clubs. One is an advanced club. It only meets once a month, and Speechcraft is not a good match for that. The other one has not gone below 20 members in over 20 years. So my
Cool.
question is, can I go in and be a coordinator for a Speechcraft for a club that I'm not a member of, a struggling club that needs members?
No. No. But the coordinator has to be from the sponsoring club. You can support their member as a coordinator and help them, but they have to be the coordinator. And you don't do the work for them. You support them. Because they're going to be the one that earns credit for it. So they have to do the work, but no, you have to be a member of the club to be the coordinator.
Oh, so Wendy, I was wrong when I was saying that someone outside the club can coordinate the Speechcraft.
Right. What Pamela was saying was that she would get a member from the other club to be a coordinator.
Combination.
She would be
Yeah.
the coordinator from her club, and then they can do it together. But someone outside of those two clubs could not be the coordinator. They have to be a member of the club in which is sponsoring the Speechcraft.
Okay. Okay. One question from Arlene was, do you let them practice the speech they're working towards, like eulogy or presentation or any other speech that they're planning to do? I guess the answer is yes, right? They can practice those speeches during
Oh,
their
yeah.
Speechcraft series. Yeah.
And that's where their
Mark-
guides come into play. Their guides can say, you know what, call me, present your
Yeah.
speech to me, and I'll give you some tips. Isn't that what we do when we mentor someone? It's the same idea.
Yeah, and each speech crafter is allowed to choose their own topic.
Yes.
It's the same way that we're allowed to choose our own topic for Icebreaker or any of the projects we do.
Yeah, great. One last question from Mark was, does the sponsoring club's VP have to certify completion of the Speechcraft course?
That's the coordinator's job.
Coordinator.
Vice President of Education has no access to the Speechcraft portal. It is
Yeah.
only the coordinator who has the access.
Coordinator acts
Great.
as the VPE for the speech crafters.
Mhm.
The coordinator acts as the VPE for the speech crafters.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Great.
And it's when they become members of the club that the VPE of the club writes to the Toastmasters Educational Department for those speech crafters to get credit for what they completed. Did I say that clearly enough?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Sulazar. Any last comments before I close the session?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wanted to kind of go back to Rich's thing that even though the club, for instance, has more than 20 members, they could still do a membership outreach using Speechcraft, and the members can work their skills of doing the work sessions. So it doesn't have to be a weak club to get members. It can still be a training exercise for a good club to draw more members in. I just wanted to share.
Right.
Yeah, you can keep
And then there's a
growing your club.
question about fees for two clubs if you have two coordinators the same. You can't be the same coordinator from the same club. Well, you could, but you only get credit for once. The fee, each of them would be fee for their clubs. So you got Division G, Club A, and Division A, Club B. You would assign the speech crafters to Group A and 5 to Group B. and those would be the respective clubs that they would send their money to. Does that make sense? Okay.
So I
Well,
think I just wanted to say something to kind of maybe keep it positive and to know that this is actually a very fun experience. I know we made it all sound like it's a ton of work, but honestly, you get all the content already from Toastmasters. You get the agenda. So the lifting, if you wanted to have this during your own club, the lifting of getting people to fill the roles of counter and all that stuff is already lifted away from you. You have an agenda now for 8 weeks of content, and you're going to have a ton of fun because you actually
Yes.
pass on the information. And believe it or not, it may be work, but you actually learn a lot helping out as a volunteer and helping out as a coordinator. You're going to learn a lot about you are putting yourself on a fast track to become a better speaker, a better presenter, a better everything because you're learning as you're teaching. There's some incredible stories that come out of it at the end from people that you don't know that have been sitting inside of them, but because they attended Speechcraft, you actually get to hear that beautiful story at the end of it that could be really life changing for you and not realizing. So I want to say that I walked into my first Speechcraft thinking I'm going to teach people how to speak. And I ended up walking away learning much more about humanity than I ever thought I would. So keep in mind that this is going to be a very positive experience. And you want to run it professionally, you want to run it organized so that everybody can get the most out of this program. 90% of the time, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but 90% of the time, people enjoy it so much that they ask you, how can I continue this experience? And you basically just say, join the club, join my club, or join this club that, oh, I can't meet on Thursdays at 4 o'clock, but I can do Fridays at noon, then join this club. So it's a great way, and it'll leave a lasting impression. So go in it with a positive attitude. I know it sounds like work, but really, when you come out of it, you're going to be like, that wasn't painful at all.
So beautifully said, Anna. I haven't learned to speak that way yet. Beautiful.
she's great.
She is so right. You get so much more out of it than what you put into it. And they thank you immensely. They are so appreciative. And Anna is so right. You hear their stories and your heart is just warmed and you're just excited to see them grow even in that short period of time. I love having my Speechcraft session.
Can I
Wonderful.
ask
I
one
think,
last question?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay. So I have not completed my pathways, and I have not been a district officer as well. Can I become a Speechcraft coordinator before that? Because someone once suggested me to conduct a Speechcraft session when all the members in our club had not completed level 1. But at that time I did not know. But now that I am in level 5, so can I do that?
Yes. You didn't have to wait to get to level 5. You completed level 1 and 2, which is basically the basic speaking skills lessons in Toastmasters. You have the knowledge to show someone else. I know in some of my clubs, someone's given an icebreaker. I tell them, now you can mentor someone else to do an icebreaker because you did the work. Have you given an evaluation? I only gave one, and I didn't think I was very good. Yeah, but you did it, right? Because that's how I was thrown into the fire. When I was a new Toastmaster, I was told, well, you've done an evaluation. You can mentor someone else on how to do it. It's not about perfection. And I hear people saying Toastmasters, we don't fail in Toastmasters. That's not what we do. We learn and grow. We stumble. And then we learn how to overcome the stumbling. Toastmasters isn't a place to fail safely. We don't fail here. Nobody's a failure in Toastmasters. we stumble and we learn from the stumbling. So now you've completed the first 2 levels, go for it. You didn't have to wait till level 5. You can definitely be a coordinator. Don't you agree, Anna?
Wholeheartedly.
All right. Well,
Rishikesh,
I have
you had a question? Yeah,
Yes.
please go ahead.
Last question. Which
last
information
question.
which information need to be submitted in DTM application form as a credit consider which will be considered as a speechcraft coordinator?
Right? You just have to list the dates you were the Speechcraft coordinator because they verify it from the Speechcraft portal. That's why you're entering the dates too. It's tracked. And they verify all that. They verify all your information when you submit it to Toastmasters International for your DTM. And that's why it takes maybe about 2 weeks because they verify that you did do those leadership roles. If you did a Speechcraft, they verify that. If you did a youth leadership, they verify that. If you're a club sponsor, they go back to the new clubs and verify that. That's why it takes 2 weeks to get your DTM approved because they verify all those details.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Great.
Well,
I think we have covered. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Anne.
no, go ahead, Sachin.
These were, I think, wonderful questions by everyone, and that shows that they were very, very interested in conducting a Speechcraft session for their club. Everyone started very enthusiastically when we had earlier great event, which was about marketing a Speechcraft, but nobody knew what a Speechcraft is and how to conduct it. What's inside that? It was like a black box. And today you had all myths busted, as you said rightly in the comment box. Those were golden words by Anne Golden. So thank you, Anne, from bottom of my heart for this wonderful explanatory session on Speechcraft. Thank you for having been in this session. So thanks a lot.
Oh, it was my pleasure. And I'm very delighted to have been here today. And I appreciate Anna Garcia and Pamela for all their input because and Salazar sharing their knowledge because that's what makes it even more interactive and fun. And I have to learn from Anna to be more fun. I'm trying. It's just not in my nature. When I start teaching, I'm more serious than I am. So I hope I had more smiles and wasn't so stern today.
You smileys.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
It was
you.
nice to
Great.
meet everyone.
You.
Thank you
Excellent.
all. And you were wonderful audience as well. Thank you all. And a lot of people have shown interest in having a collaborative session or sharing the knowledge for the Speechcraft. So maybe we can create a separate group. People can join them and share their experiences and values because those are the learning steps. Thank
That's
you.
great. All right.
Yeah, also
Goodbye,
I wanted
everyone.
to share Suzanne here.
Lots
Suzanne
of
Schultz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Bye.
good evening.
Bye again. Thanks.
Good job, Wendy. It sounds like you might have a lot of speech crafts going on soon, as soon as base camp is back on online.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so
Stop
much,
the
Anna,
recording.
for being here to support us. Yeah, you
Yeah.
were
So
great.
what's in store, Anna, for the base camp thing?
So we're waiting for the 25th. We do have links on D101, but you can also just go directly to Toastmasters International. They're posting things there. Obviously, we know
Okay.
some of the things are going away, but it looks a lot sleeker.